Have you ever felt lost and in despair and didn't know what to do or where to go? I have been there, and I want to share with you why you should turn to God in uncertain times. My name is Danielle, and this is Living Light and Truth, where I share my experiences and tips about how I live life with light and truth. I have 5 kids, and I had just had my last child, and we had just moved into a new home, and we were strapped for cash for sure. But I was the one that did the budget at the time, and I actually was doing the budget, and we were like $400 short, and I had no idea what to do. I just felt that despair that I talked about. I felt that feeling of just gut-wrenching. What in the world are we going to do? You know, it's not like my husband could pick up another job. He was already working overtime. I wasn't working. I just remember standing in my kitchen, looking out the window and thinking, okay, I feel this way. And it's a feeling I didn't want to feel, but the first takeaway I want to give you is that you need to feel your feelings. You need to feel that despair. You need to feel the hurt and anxiety and not knowing what to do, because it needs to be felt so that you can process through it, so it doesn't stick in your body somewhere and cause you issues later. The next thing I did was I stood there in that kitchen and I thought, okay, we have lots of food in our pantry. I was really good at couponing at the time, and I had really created a stockpile of food that we had in our pantry. And I thought, okay, we are good on food. I am going to be grateful that we are good on food. Thank heavens that I did the work to make sure that we had the food that we needed. And then I thought about the fact that we had a house. My husband had a job. So I found all the things that I could be grateful for. So that's the second thing, is to be grateful. When you're turning to God, you need to be grateful for the things that you already have, the things He's already given you. He has given you life, and those are things that you need to look for, is what you're grateful for. I had 5 children. I had this brand new little baby that I think she was about 3 months old at the time. So I found gratitude. I found things to be grateful for, and I tried to do that every day, especially when I wasn't feeling like things were going so well. So the next thing I did, of course, is pray. I turned to God. I told Him what the situation was. When I pray as if He were here. I still try to be as respectful as I can, but I pray as if I'm talking to my Father, because He is my Father. That's my belief, is He is my Father, and I want to talk to Him as if He were here and as if He could answer me right then. So I prayed and gave it all to Him, and I said, Heavenly Father, I can't do this without You. And that is one of the things that I often say when I don't know what to do. So the next thing I did was I went to all of my files that I had on the computer, and I thought, what is it that I can do to make money? So years past before this, I had been in internet marketing, where I had had a blog and I had tried different things, and I had people that I knew. And I had a friend of mine that was a virtual assistant. And I thought, you know what? That is something that I can do, that I can bring in money as soon as possible. So I contacted her. I first read up a lot on what it's like to be a virtual assistant and what kind of skills I needed. And then I contacted my friend, and she was like, yeah, I can help you. And she connected me, and with her circle of influence that she had, connected with me with people that were needing someone like me as a virtual assistant. And so I contacted people, we set up appointments, and I got my first 2 clients very quickly. So I had that going. I continued to pray because with virtual assisting, you don't always have a client long term. So it's not always something that can happen right away. So I continued to pray. And what happened was someone in my neighborhood, at the time, this was summer, and someone in my neighborhood was a teacher, and she had a son that needed to be watched while she was at school teaching. She called me out of the blue, and I said to her, I said, well, how much are you willing to pay? It was $400. And I went, oh my goodness, this is an answer to our prayers. This is consistent work that I can do, and I can still be at home with my children, and I can still be the virtual assistant as well. And so that is what I did. That is the next thing I did. Now, this is an experience that I had, and in my life, that was one certain time, and it was uncertain, and then it became certain very quickly. But not all of our uncertain times are like this. We need to trust God in uncertain times because they come over and over and over again. We can look at right now, while I'm filming this, there is still fires raging in California, in the Los Angeles area, where people were living their lives, and within hours they were evacuated, and there were fires, and homes were being burnt. Lives were upended. We have medical issues that may come up. We are just driving along down the road, and all of a sudden somebody hits our car, and we are now dealing with medical issues. We can't work, we can't walk, we can't do whatever. But I'm telling you right now, do these things. Feel what it feels like to have the grief of what you've gone through. Feel what it feels like when you all of a sudden realize that there is nothing that you can do at that moment to fix everything and make it go back to where it was. Find gratitude in your family. Find gratitude in the health that you still do have. I have a friend of mine that got in an accident in the summertime, and it was a really bad accident. And it's been almost 6 months now, and she's still dealing with the effects of this accident, and she will be for maybe the rest of her life. So we all have uncertain times that come out of the blue, and we need to be relying on God to help us through those uncertain times. We need to trust Him. We need to turn to Him. We need to pray to Him. We need to tell Him how grateful we are for the things that we have. And then we need to start walking forward and moving forward. Message I want to leave with you is that with God and trusting God, there is always hope. And there is always peace. And there can be joy if we allow ourselves to feel those things. It doesn't come all at once. I spoke of the fires that were happening. When people had their homes burned to the ground, there will be a time of grief, and that feeling may be a lot longer than what I experienced in my kitchen. We need to feel the grief that we are going through when we have a loss, whether it's the loss of a life because of an accident, whether it's the loss of a life because of illness, whether it's the loss of our home or our way of life or our things, we still need to feel it. And I know things really don't matter in the long run, but in the moment they do. They do. When you can't come home to your bed and be in your bedroom where you have your things that make you feel comfortable, that causes grief and loss. And you just need to feel it. And don't judge yourself for it. But also find the gratitude in what you do have, that you have your family, you have a job, maybe you have a way to move forward. Maybe you have an income that will provide for you until you can find something, a place to live, or maybe you have insurance, health insurance, when you've gotten in an accident. So you have these things that you can be grateful for. Sometimes you have to be just grateful for that moment, that one moment that you felt peace. And if that's the only thing you can be grateful for, feel it and tell God that you're grateful for it, and keep moving forward and keep praying. Pray for the help that you need, because there will be angels that show up in your life. And it's a great blessing, and those are answers to your prayers. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you like what you watched today and the message that you heard today, you can check out my video here that's on how to love your enemies.